Good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are. I'm glad that you are here, though. Yesterday, I asked you all what your favorite cleaning product or tool was. For me, my favorite cleaning product is probably, in all honesty, Windex or glass cleaner. I tend to use it all over the place, even though I really shouldn't. And my favorite cleaning tool is my little lint brush thing that I use on my bed and on the cat tree and on the couch to pick up all the cat fur. I mean, it's perfect. It picks it up and there's nothing to tear off and play around with. It just picks the cat fur up and it cleans the brush off and you go again. So it's win-win. The cats love their cat tree, but I'm honestly starting to wish that I had not bought it. It is so big and takes up so much space and there's nowhere else to put it. So it's kind of stuck here because I wanted to kind of bring in one of my little bistro tables and put it back in front of the window like I used to have, and now I'm just kind of stuck with this big old cat tree here. It was an impulse buy and I just sort of wish I hadn't done it. I mean, they like it, but they don't like it as much as when I first got it. I have to tell you that some of the comments that you guys have been leaving me are some of the sweetest, most heartwarming things I have ever read in my entire life. You guys have uplifted me so much with your heartfelt, sweet, kind comments, and it means so much to me. You guys are just absolutely the best community that anybody could ask for. I am very much loving getting to know each and every one of you as an individual and as a community of people that have come together over the same common cause, which is cleaning our homes and making our homes comfortable and happy places to be. And look at that, disgusting. Apparently the kitties have very dirty feet. If you wonder why everything gets tossed up onto the cat tree, it generally means that my almost 1-year-old grandson has been here and he is in the cruising stage and likes to touch everything. So anything that is pop-up or I have on the coffee table gets put up on the cat tree, which isn't a big deal. He's super cute and it's okay. But yeah, he's going to be 1 here in not very long. He's going to be 1 on the 11th, and I will be 50 on the 8th. Crazy. I told him to come on out on my birthday, but he didn't listen. He was going to be stubborn, and he decided that he would wait. So there's that. He does things on his own time, just like his Grammy does. I have a little bit of a confession to make. Oh, I scared poor Lucky. I have a little bit of a confession to make. I am not always very good at conserving product or paper towel or water. And I know that it's not a great thing and that I, being in the public eye in ways, should be much more careful about that because I do care about our planet and I do care, that things are, not good for the environment. I get it and I understand, but as a human being that was raised around somebody that used a lot of cleaning product to clean herself, and in back when I was growing up, there weren't those kind of concerns. Nobody was concerned about it. Not that they should not have been. I really want to try to not use as much product and not use as much paper towel. I do realize that it's important, and I know that a lot of people on here have mentioned it. And my only thing with anybody saying that they have an issue with something is I'd like to be treated with kindness and respect, just as I would treat anybody else. And if you're not going to treat me with kindness and respect, then I will absolutely delete your account from this community because I want this to be a positive place, not only for myself, but for the other people who enjoy this community. Don't get me wrong, I love hearing all of your ideas and opinions, and stories and everything else. I've had very few comments that were a little off kilter, and that's the way I'd like to keep it. So, what did you all do yesterday? I pretty much stuck around home yesterday and did some cleaning and trying to think of what else I did. I watched some TV with the hubby and did some stuff with Bella. And we had a little bit of company. Like I said, my grandson was here with my daughter-in-law and son. And it was sort of a, oh my goodness, it was sort of a lazy day, to be honest with you. I mean, I did do some cleaning, cooking, so forth. I made meatloaf tonight, which Greg actually really liked. I used crackers in it this time instead of breadcrumbs, and he said that he really liked it. And I made the sauce that I usually put on it with, I usually mix together some brown sugar and ketchup and apple cider vinegar, but this time I only had white sugar, but it seemed to work out okay. I still would have rather had the brown sugar, but he really liked the meatloaf with the crackers. How many of you make meatloaf with crackers in it? I know everybody does it different. My bonus mom used to make it with 2 slices of white bread soaked in milk. My own mother has put both either crackers, she's used oatmeal before, and she's used breadcrumbs, and I know that my great-grandmother Hazel used to use crackers in it. So there's been a whole bunch of different ways. My husband's like, oh, you need to keep that recipe, and I'm like, there is no recipe. That's just something that you make out of the top of your head. He's like, you need to remember how you did it. So my grandson can say pop pop. He's been saying it for a very long time. And he can say Bella, and he can say Unk. But the one thing he cannot say is Grimmy. So my daughter-in-law has been trying to get him to say Gigi. And I think he may have said it today, but I'm not quite sure. But we'll find out, because once he starts saying something, he focuses on it for quite some time. So we'll know. I'm hoping that he starts saying it before his first birthday. Before my birthday even, that would be even better. But yeah, she's trying to get him to call me Gigi because he has another Grammy. So that way he could differentiate between the two of us. If you're a grandma, what do your grandkids call you? Or if you're a mom and you have kiddos, what do your kids call their grandparents? Or when you were growing up, what did you call your grandparents? When I was growing up, I called my mom's parents Grammy and Grampy, and I called my dad's mom Grammy. I don't recall what I called my dad's stepdad. I possibly didn't call him anything, which is very odd. But we didn't see them very often, so I'm trying to think. And my great-grandmother Hazel, I called her Grammy Hazel. So, and she was my absolute favorite person in the whole entire world. Growing up, I used to spend weekends with my Grammy Hazel and Grampy Charlie, and they lived right on the ocean. In fact, my Grampy Charlie was in the National Geographic for being one of the oldest sea captains in the United States at the time. And they lived right on the ocean, and I remember she used to play the song on the piano for him. It was called Moonlight Bay. But she had rewrote it to be about the bay that they lived in for him. And his eyes used to just sparkle when she sang that song to him and played on the piano. And I used to always beg her to let me play her piano, and she would let me play it for just so long until probably she felt like her head was going to explode. And then she taught me to play a little song on the piano so that at least I wasn't banging on it. I must have drove that poor woman insane, but she was always so patient, and just she was the kind of person that anyone would aspire to be. She lived to be in her late, I believe she was in her late 90s. And that woman was the epitome of what a homemaker would be in life. I mean, breakfast was promptly at 7 o'clock in the morning, and lunch was at noon. I don't care where they were stopping, and it was lunchtime. And dinner was at 5 o'clock. And, you know, her breakfast, you could always count on what it was: the tiniest little juice glass of juice, half an English muffin, half a cup of Cheerios with milk, one egg, and usually like a couple links of sausage or bacon. You know, just she was so much like clockwork. It was just crazy to me. And my grandfather, great grandfather, was diabetic, like really, really badly diabetic. He was on insulin. And that man loved bananas. And, you know, he was pretty old, but he loved bananas. And she was always telling him not to have them because he liked them when they were ripe, like really, really, really ripe. And she would always get after him for eating them. So he would get them and hide them all around the house, like everywhere. But the problem was he was elderly, and he would forget where he hid them. So years and years and years after he passed away, my grandmother would find these old dried up bananas all over the house. You know, just when you're least expecting it, you know, there he was again. One of his bananas popped up. And I'll never forget the time that I was staying with her, and her and I had run to the store. And he, at that point, was having a very hard time walking. He had a lift chair. And she generally, when she left the house for a short period of time, would unplug it. Well, on this particular day, she forgot to unplug it, and he fell asleep. And, you know, this was in the 80s, and, you know, maybe the chairs were different then. The controls were all right up on the arm. He fell asleep and must have put his hand on the button to raise the chair up, and literally it must have brought him up to a standing position, and he fell flat over. And I'm telling you, that poor woman went into the house and saw him laying on the floor and thought he had passed away. And she was so upset, and he was just laying there laughing and laughing and laughing. And she told him that it wasn't funny, but that just made him laugh all the more. And he was a pretty big guy, so he was hard to get up off the floor. It took, you know, her and her son, which was, I called him Uncle Chet, to get him up and back into the chair. And he was always just the most kind-spirited person. And he just laughed and laughed. He thought that was hilarious. And then there was another time that he always loved to have a fire in the wood stove. And, you know, as he got older, having a fire at times was rather inappropriate, such as days that it was like 80-some degrees outside. And, you know, she had gone outside for something, and she came back in, and he had that wood stove just stoked, and it was going. And she looked at him, and she goes, "What on earth is wrong with you?" And he said, "I thought you'd like a fire." And she goes, "I don't want a fire. It's 80-some degrees outside." But they were just the sweetest people. I so enjoyed every moment that I got to spend with them. My dad's family on his side owned a private island. It belonged to his side of the family, and everybody shared the little cabin that was out on this very remote island off Bass Harbor, which is in Maine. And the island was, you know, just off Bass Harbor. I'm not going to say the name of the island because it gives away my maiden name, but the island was just a small island with a few houses dotted through it. In fact, I'll give you a clue. Ruth Moore, who is an author, grew up there. And we used to go out there on a boat because that was obviously how you had to get there. And we would go out and spend weekends and sometimes even weeks there. And the cabin had no electricity, no running water. You know, it was remote, about as remote as you can get. And I have such good memories of going out across the ocean to go to that island and spend time there and play on the shore. And do all the things, which is funny because now I would really rather be in northern Maine like I am, away from the ocean and all the tourists and everything that goes with that area now. It's very much changed. It's not a remote place anymore. Bass Harbor, Tremont, all those areas, they're no longer remote and just locals. It's, there's a lot of tourism and people that have summer homes and so forth, and the locals sort of got pushed out, and that's normal. That's kind of what happens, but it doesn't mean that it's fun or good for the people that lived there for years and years. My grandmother's house got turned into an inn. One of my mother's mother, her house was turned into an inn when they sold their home. And it's funny to go by there and see it still standing, and it looks so different because when they got it, they remodeled the whole thing. It needed it. I mean, it didn't even have a functioning bathroom. So, yeah, it was interesting, that's for sure. I remember, I think some of my favorite years were when I was a kid, was living down that way and, playing in the ocean and going out on the boat with my dad. And, it was a good childhood for any kid, to live on the ocean. And, in the day and age where we all were sent out to play, and we played till the sun went down and came in for dinner. Okay, so to finish our time off together, I am going to read some of the comments and answer them, even though I have answered them. And that way you guys, in case you don't get to see all the comments, will get to hear some of them. It says, somebody said, "You're going to love it when the ceiling is up." And yes, I will. I think it's going to really, really brighten it up in here, and I will love that. They also said, "I see some paint cans in the middle of a project." And yes, I did address that in a couple videos back. I am in the middle of painting my living room, but when my son came with his little 4-year-old to stay for a while, I had put that on hold, but I am actually about to start that back up tomorrow. Someone mentioned that they know that I lost my kitchen sink plug and that Walmart sells them, and if you order online, I could pick it up with my pickup order. And I was going to do that the next time, but I did clean under my kitchen sink today and found an extra one that I had bought. So that problem is fixed. Someone said, "I know what happened to the dustpan. You set it down on the corner edge of the wastebasket and it fell in, I kind of wonder if it didn't get tossed out with the trash, and I give up looking for it." Someone asked, "Will you guys be able to do the house repairs yourself?" And the answer to that is yes, yes, yes. We have done them since the beginning of being here and plan to continue doing so. Someone liked my cat shirt. She's a huge animal lover, and that shirt came from Temu. And as I always tell you guys, if you want to purchase from Temu, I think that's great, as long as you're aware that some of their stuff is absolute crappage. But if you do order from them, I would suggest you use a prepaid credit card or debit card or whatever it is. Don't use one connected to your bank, just in case. Someone said that they suffer with mental health issues, and my storytelling and calm voice is so soothing while I watch your video. And that kind of made me chuckle a little bit, because I've always told everybody that I have a man voice and I can't stand my voice. And to hear so many people say that it's soothing it tickles my funny bone. Someone asked what state I live in. That would be Maine. They asked how many children do I have. I have 8 plus 1. That counts Bella. So they were a new sub, and they said they will look around. And I hope that you do, and I hope you enjoy. Someone asked if I homeschool also. Yes, we do homeschool. We have homeschooled for many, many years. Someone said that they wish that they had the discipline to clean at night, but I don't, that they usually pick up in the morning. And I say, my friend, you do what works for you, because we are all different. And now, before we say our goodbyes, I do want to say that I do read all your comments, and that as long as they are the top level comment, like you're not commenting under somebody else, it makes it harder to notice. So if you are commenting to me, please try to comment on the top level so that I see your comment and can answer it, because if not, I might miss it, and that makes me feel terrible. I will get back to all your comments the absolute best that I can. Please don't be offended if it takes me a day, 2 days, 3 days, or even now that the comments are amping up, maybe even up to a week. I appreciate you all. I thank you for being here, and I am so glad that you guys have helped me form this wonderful community that I so look forward to interacting with each and every day. You guys are more than a community. You are friends. You are part of our family, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So until the next one, you know what I'm gonna say. Have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, and as always, happy cleaning. I love each and every one of you.